Welcome back to episode 3 here on UK Theme Parks of our Christmas Planet Coaster Park. Now then, we do need to do a little bit of padding today and actually get some more rides in. We spent pretty much the last episode building our roller coaster, which you can just see there on the right hand side, and we do need to put an entrance over that on this episode. That said, we do need to get a couple of flat rides in to sort of boost the ride lineup slightly. Now, as you can see there, we're going to put in the drop tower first. It's quite a small gap which we've left kind of behind the dark ride, so we're going to put that in there first. And whilst I did want to put in another flat ride straight away, I kind of want to put the flat ride in around this area, so we are going to have to build the entrance to the sleigh ride first, so we can see how much space we've got left. It took a little bit of adjustment, again, because of the angle we've built the park at. It will take a little bit of adjustment to get this in, but we want it to look like a log cabin based entrance. We'll have the entrance to the ride over the back, so you'll kind of walk under the track to get onto the ride and then come straight back off as well on the other side. So yeah, it's going to look really, really good, hopefully, at the end of this. We're also going to use more of a corrugated roof on the top of this, so it kind of looks more like a log cabin sort of outback shed kind of thing, and we will put some snow on top as well, so you know it looks like a rested building. It will really finish off this coaster nicely as well, and allow us to have a little bit of space to have a flat ride next to it. And we're going to make a little bit of an effort. I've always said on these that I don't make a lot of effort on the inside of the stations, because even when you're showcasing the ride, you know, you kind of leave the station, you look at the ride, you come back, and I know you could have a much better station than what I usually have. I'm not great with the stations, to be perfectly honest with you. But I'm going to make a little bit of an effort on this one. As we are a Christmas park, once we've got the walls up, we will of course put a few Christmas decorations in and make sure it's got a real subtle light theme going on it as well. So we'll enclose this part of the ride. It's what you'll see on the ride, it's what you'll see when you get off the ride. As you can see, we've got some curved paths on as well, so we can kind of make that really sharp transition, where on the outside we are using the grid selection so we can have a completely square pathway, so it's nice and flat for our you know, to line up fences and things. I think this is the only problem when you use the curved paths, although they are great, and you know, they really, again, pathing much like the terrain can work really well. I think the terrain probably works better. I think a lot of people get frustrated with some of the you know, some of the path behaviours, but when you use the select, it's great to be able to, you know, the grid select, it's great to be able to go absolutely flush, and then as you saw earlier, when we build the fences to go next to it, it makes it a lot easier to duplicate those fences to use elsewhere rather than keep rebuilding them. Now, going around here, we are simply going to, you know, really try and Christmas this out a bit, give it some lights, give it some, you know, indoor scenery as you kind of exit the ride and head up the mountain. So yeah, it looks like a nicely themed log cabin. Not too OTT, not particularly lived in, but yeah, a nicely themed one. And that's all we're going for. Very simple, kind of easy looking, with some windows on the inside and outside. And we'll have a much bigger, brighter front than what this one is as well. When you come on the outside, you'll have seen that we've overlapped the front, and that's where we'll have our massive sign. However, though, on the inside here, we will keep it nice and plain and simple. So down the side of the windows, we're going to pop a little, you know, a couple of lights, kind of sort of colourful lights. It will brighten up the station a bit with the oil lamps, the same lamps which we used around the ride. We're going to use inside as well to give it the subtle lighting. They're more of the miner's lamps, to be honest, but I think they, in a situation like this, they do work really well to, you know, give a subtle, not bright light, you know, bright white light kind of look to the area. So I think they work quite well. As we said, we're going to put up on now the tin roof, and we'll add some snow to that before doing the front of the ride. And you know, it's very simple. It is very simple. Whilst we have built some in-depth stuff, you know, on a park like this, these are more likely to be pop-up parks, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not entirely sure that roller coaster would be a pop-up park. However, if you consider that roller coaster to be, you know, a sled down an existing hill, it probably wouldn't take too much to put together. So as a pop-up park, we don't want to go massively in depth on this. We just want to keep it simple and give the look of delight and Christmas as you walk into the park. And the way the snow settles on top of the corrugated roof is far better than how it settles on top of the Victorian roof. So I think it's absolutely perfect for this scenario. Now again, on the front of this building we do want to pop some lights, but first what we're going to do is use the beams. Use the beams here as supports. Now there's nothing worse than although we don't really want to hide this track. We want to make it look like you are getting a lift up the hill before being dropped down. I think the wood beams give it a far more natural look than what the concrete pillars do, if you will. So once we've done that, now we're going to do the front of the building, and we are going to make this quite colourful rather than just white. We are going to use the colours on the front of this building, and we'll copy them down. I don't think the copy worked very well on this, but we copied it down and made sure that it gives it a lovely circle. Now the light we're using is illuminated, but we are going to put other lights on there as well, and we are simply going to call this ride the Sleigh Ride. It's really simple, just calling it the Sleigh Ride. We'll put some windows on the outside as well as some more lights and scenery, some lovely wood, half wood. These logs are fantastic. These half wood logs are amazing. They just add a really simple theming, really simple fronts and theming to any building without putting again a lot of effort in and having a lot going on. We will, underneath the windows, pop the little bushes before putting some subtle lights. So the lighting for this, we are going to have some spotlights, but we're going to have some really light blue and green spotlights to just subtly light up the front, and they'll all be underground as well. So rather than again having big street lights outside, this one will be subject to some indoor spotlights. And as you can see there from the dark shot, the front looks amazing. It really does look amazing. Now we've done that, and you can see where our queue path, because we expect that ride to be really popular, to be honest with you. And you can see where the queue path comes round. We're going to have the entrance around about where the mouse cursor is now. That'll be the entrance to the park, so you won't see this ride as you come in. But we want to make sure we can fit another ride in here. Now Frontier fortunately have quite a lot of great scenery pieces, and where we're already using gingerbread down here, we're going to continue that with a gingerbread theme. Now it is a little bit of a cheat to use some of the some of the pre-built stuff, and I'm very careful not to use anything off the workshop and not discredit anyone's work or not credit anyone's work correctly. So we are using the Frontier ones on here, as you can see, to just pop some very simple gingerbread houses in. So it kind of looks like your break dances sat within the gingerbread houses. Now we are going to put the break dance as a Christmas colour. As you can see, we're going red and we're going green and we're going white for the Christmas colour, and we are also going to make it look like you're in just a little village. This little break dance is in the little village, and we're going to have some snow falling onto it as well. And of course the breakdance is one of my favourite rides, genuinely one of my favourite rides. I absolutely love the breakdance. Now as you can see here, we're actually going to use the floodlights. The floodlights give a real bright light, but again we're keeping it really simple, the bright light. We don't want to overpower, but at the same time we want to have some kind of ambience there. So we're using the floodlights with a really light blue to give a nice shine over it, whilst the ride itself has lights for when you're running at night. So the breakdance there has gone in really quickly, using some of the preset scenery and then just adding a few lights, and you'll see us go back shortly and add some snowflakes to it. Back over at our Winter World, our indoor ride, I didn't leave a lot of room. For the entrance. Quite a lesson learnt here that you need to leave room to get on. The platform wasn't big enough for an entrance and an exit to come off the same one, so we are going to build an exit coming off from the other side of the ride. If you are building roller coasters and things like that, and you are worried about throughput and you don't want long queues and things, it is definitely better to have an on and an off ride side rather than have it both on the same side, because it just takes the people forever to get off the ride. It is quite frustrating actually that several updates later and now a console version that no one's addressed that. It infuriating how long it takes to load the ride sometimes. Now then, that aside, you know, that's just from coming to lots and lots of theme parks and being stuck in queues watching people try and load rides. You know, we are gonna do it as an on and off. You know, if you centralise the paths as well, it just means people get on and off the ride much faster, and you can get more people onto it, and you can then have shorter queues, which helps you build more compact parks without having massive queue lines. And you know, if you're in if you're in sort of a scenario mode as well, it doesn't upset the guests. Now then, we're going back now, and we're just going to finish the detail over this side of the park. We've put the breakdance in, we've put the sleigh ride entrance in, so we're going to put a few trees in, as you can see. We're going to have the little carol singers there as well. They actually do make a noise. We will add some sound in for the final episode, and of course we need to finish the drop tower area as well as put a side on the building, which we haven't done yet. Down by the breakdance here, you won't be able to see this as you enter the park. Now, although we've got some buildings there, we've raised the ground very slightly, and we will have an entrance. The entrance will be something we do in the final episode before showcasing the park. As we said, we want to get 8 or 9 rides in here. It's not going to be massive, but it's going to be, you know, fairly well detailed and fairly well themed for what essentially, as we said, would likely be a pop-up theme park. And what we're going to do is we're going to save this park. We're going to keep it keep it on our file, like we do, to be fair, with all our parks, and it may be one we revisit next year to expand on it and perhaps swap out a couple of rides. Of course, we don't know this year whether or not Planet Coaster 2 may come out for the PC, potentially. Whether or not you'll be able to import old parks will be really interesting to see. Something else as well, something else I've always done is when you I really don't build great entrances to rides. Generally don't build great entrances to rides. I always forget about, you know, you build a lovely building like I've done there, but ultimately people like to walk under a nice entrance. So we're going to keep this one quite simple as well. We're going to have the sleigh ride here, and we're going to put a few lights around this to kind of brighten it up a bit, as well as a few of the big stars on the top. Yeah, it's mounted on the wood. I understand it's mounted on the wood, but it kind of gives a again, more rustic theme of just having an entrance. To be honest with you, it really is nice to have something a little bit more 3D on there, and of course some flashing lights. Who doesn't like some flashing lights on there as well? And of course, the purpose of building this entrance now is that we can then get the fencing done. Where we started the fencing on the right hand side, we want to continue that right the way across the front of the sleigh ride and down, and ultimately the fencing will go all the way around the park as we start to sort of bring the park together and bring the rides together. Cool, how many rides have we got in now? So we've got the breakdance, we've got the sleigh ride, we've got the sizzler, we've also got the drop tower and the dark ride. So we've got 5 rides in place, with a carousel down the bottom which isn't in its final location. And of course we do want to squeeze another roller coaster in as well, so in the next episode you will see us put another roller coaster in over the other side of the park. Now, these Christmas trees are fantastic. I love the size of these Christmas trees. They are just they kind of really do engulf an area perfectly. They really do. And of course we can then put some presents around the tree, and the size of the presents fit really well with the giant tree. I'm loving the snowmen as well. I just love the snowmen. They're quite easy to put together, and you know, we're not doing ones with kind of mid sections. We're going to have big bodies and then a little head on top. I just love the way they go together and what you can do with them. One of the finer details of the festive pack is definitely the way you can put snowmen together. We'll get some presents in here, some candy canes, and this is kind of the big centerpiece Christmas tree. As you come around the corner and turn right around to the Sizzler attraction, you'll also see the breakdance village, as we're going to call it. And of course I really do expect the sleigh ride to be the most popular ride in the park. I could be wrong, of course, because we do have another roller coaster to build, but I expect the sleigh ride to be the most popular ride in the park. From here as well, the candy benches. I mean, I just love the festive pack. I have no idea why I haven't used it before, but the candy benches and these candy bins are just fantastic. What an amazing addition, and they're just bright and colourful, and the whole area just becomes bright and colourful. Now, as we said here, we are going to put some snow effects. We're just going to put some blowing out snow in the trees here. We're just going to hide them in the trees, and that will blow over to the ride as you come along to the ride. And of course, now we've got all that in place, we do need to finish off the building for the dark ride, which will come all the way around here, around by the drop tower, and then of course we can put a little bit of theming around the drop tower. Again, it's not going to be heavy theming. We're going to use the lights, we're going to use the white lights, as they are in keep with this area. So yeah, some lights around, we'll put some windows in. Nothing too spectacular, to be honest, really nothing too spectacular. You know, the drop tower, the height of it, the size of it. And the great thing is with the drop tower as well is it does have a lot of custom lights on it already. So it's going to be bright and it's going to shine, and they, you know, have chaser lights on, so it's going to work really, really well just as it is. So just have a nice subtle backdrop. We'll put some trees in here as well as these decorations. And you know, the drop tower, it comes in such a small footprint. I mean, that is a tiny footprint we got it in. We, you know, look to get a carousel in there. It's, you know, the carousel's way too big, way too big. Even the simple balloon ride wouldn't fit in there, like the ball ride, which they've got in here, doesn't fit in there. So yeah, I think it's amazing, the small footprint of this, and yet it also adds a couple of thrilling rides with the break dance as well. I think the Sizzler, even though the Sizzler's under a thrill ride, I'm not overly sure it is, to be honest with you. I think it's much more of a family attraction, something you'd find at a fairground, although they can be run very, very fast, I can assure you. If you've watched any of our vlogs, they're generally nice family rides, and they can certainly be run with children in mind. But the drop tower, not so much, and definitely not the breakdance, not so much. They are our key thrill rides. And the next coaster we're going to build as well is going to be an inverted one, which again is going to be a much, much more thrilling coaster than what the Sleigh is. So yeah, as we approach the end of episode 3 here, what do you think? What do you think about our Christmas park? How well do you think it's coming together? Do you like some of the scenery, and have you indeed liked some of the rides that we've put in? You know, we've managed to finish off the area down the bottom. We've managed to put a break dance in. You know, we finished the sleigh area as well. That ride is now ready to roll. That is our signature ride of the park, all ready to go as we get some more scenery and detail and some fences in. Before we kind of conclude the park, now most of the other park, the rest of the park is going to be done over the other side. So the building which we put in first, as we said to you, we weren't doing the back two. That's because there's going to be a roller coaster behind that building, so you'll see how that pans out shortly before we do the carousel area and up the top here. So yeah, what do you think? What do you think of the park so far? Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments below. We would love to know, and hope to see you again tomorrow in episode 4.